These are trying times for Jaguar. Recently, all talk has focused on doom and debt. There was the embarrassing foray into Formula One. 4 barren years netted just 2 podiums. They continue to get pummeled in the sales charts by Audi, Mercedes and BMW. Over the last 2 years, Jaguar has recorded losses exceeding £1 billion. They even stopped making cars at Browns Lane, Jag's ancestral home for 50-odd years. So drastic was this move that it was discussed in Parliament. If any company needs to reinvent the wheel, it's this one. And they've chosen to start with an all-new XK. It's amazing to think that the previous XK is now some 10 years old, so we were long overdue a new one. And this new XK is supposed to be a much sportier drive to appeal to a much younger crowd. But to be honest, styling-wise, I think it's mainly going to appeal to the Jag faithful. Yes, its lines are clean and crisp, smooth and sophisticated. I just fear it wanted something a bit more radical to really bring in a whole new set of fans. Inside, well, apart from the addition of a new hatchback, the conservative theme continues. Jaguar owners will instantly feel at home, cosseted by plenty of cow and tree. There are some modern-day concessions like touchscreen controls, keyless door entry and an electronic parking brake. Also gone is the famous Jaguar J-gate. Now it's just a sort of reverse L, with all manual gear changes done by paddles. And all this is all yours for just under £60,000. Now, Jaguar reckon when it comes to big sports cars, there are 2 types. Comfy grand tourers like the BMW 6 Series or hardcore handlers like the Porsche 911. The XK is supposed to be the best of both worlds, which is usually PR speak for something that's compromised. There's only one engine option, a lightly breathed-on version of their trusty old 4.2-litre V8, which purrs away rather too quietly underneath the bonnet. It's now got an extra 6 horsepower, giving it a grand total of 300 bhp, which doesn't really sound that much when you think that Aston Martin have tweaked the same engine up to produce 380 horsepower. The chassis engineers have done hundreds of laps of the daunting Nürburgring to fine-tune the suspension setup, and it's much improved. So now we're no longer sitting on a roly-poly platform. We're sitting on a car that can turn, very obedient to the steering. We don't have a vicious ride quality, though. It's got just the right amount of feel of the road without ever being jarringly uncomfortable. Steering feel is the same, nicely weighted, although not quite giving me all the feel I'd like. And you occasionally get reminded as the nose pushes wide as you push it into a corner, it understeers off your line. You have to remember that you are still in a big car. This new XK might be lighter, but it's still 200 kilos heavier than a Porsche 911. The best and perhaps worst parts about this new XK, though, are its gearbox and its gear changes. Stick it in S in auto, and you've got the best auto box I've ever driven. On the upshift, it's right on the rev limit, seamless, smooth changes. But even better, when you're braking heavily, it changes down very early, which is very reassuring under braking. Stick it into manual, you've got the same sort of instant gear change. But the only trouble is where they put the paddles. But if I'm teaching performance driving, I say you stick your thumbs on the top of the spokes and then you gently wrap your fingers round the back of the steering wheel. Now, if you do that here, you can't get round the back of the steering wheel because the paddles are there. So you put them round the back of the paddles, and then when you start doing any energetic cornering, you keep on making gear changes you didn't want to make. So what are we left with? Well, there's no doubt in my mind that Jaguar can be very proud of this new XK. It's a stylish, fast, comfortable Grand Tourer in the very best traditions. And perhaps its greatest strength is its smoothness, those smooth gear changes, the smooth ride quality, the smooth steering. It's just that I wanted something, well, something a bit more exciting. This may be the XK Cabriolet. It doesn't really feel that different. It's virtually the same car, apart from the fact they've chopped the roof off, and then to make up for some of the loss of stiffness, they've beefed up the chassis. So this convertible is actually 40 kilograms heavier than the GT, and more importantly, £6,000 dearer. Unfortunately, beefing up the chassis isn't quite enough. Not only is the car heavier and more expensive, it doesn't handle quite as well. When you press it into bends, you can begin to feel the chassis isn't as rigid. The car can't take the same sort of cornering speeds. It rolls a bit more and doesn't quite have that same crispness. But this is one occasion where the Cabrio is the one I'd go for. Having the soft top provides the option to inject a bit more excitement into the driving experience. With the sun beating down and the wind rushing past, the finer points of handling and speed don't really seem to matter. The new XK is a good coupe, but a much better cabriolet.
Now it's time for the part of the show where we settle those pub debates once and for all and find out what's quickest. Yes, you've guessed it. It's time for one of our world-renowned shootouts. Well, first up at a particularly stormy Anglesey is the new Mazda MX-5, which gives us a problem. Because our shootouts require two cars that are quite similar to go head-to-head, but the MX-5 hasn't got any rivals. Where else can you buy a sweet-handling little roadster with genuine sports car performance for under 16 grand? There is nothing for it. We'd have to put the car up against itself. This is a Mark I MX-5. Launched in 1990, it proved you didn't need a blank cheque and big power to have fun. Finding an original one proved tricky until we found Suzanne, who had bought this one only a week earlier. She can't wait to see if the new MX-5 is any quicker than hers, which will involve me thrashing them on the track. For some unknown reason, she insisted on keeping an eye on me. No power steering.
I know.
Isn't that a shocker? Ooh. Were you Popeye or something, honey?
Oh, I've decided I need to improve my muscle tone.
Haha, that's my kind of workout. Suzanne, how much did it cost you?
£3,995.
I'm really pleased that you bought one. It's just so perfect. You all right?
Yeah, it's great.
It's so sweet because it hasn't got a huge amount of power, but you can still have so much fun with it. It's got such a beautiful chassis. The brakes, there's no ABS, so I'm having to be a bit cautious here. It weighs just over 1,000 kilograms, and it will hit 60 miles an hour, providing you can keep it in a straight line. Oh, in about 8.4 seconds. Oh, Suzanne, I feel dreadful. This is your car. What is it like to sit in your own car that you've paid your own good money for with some nutter at the wheel?
It's brilliant. It's good to see what it can do, because I couldn't drive anything like this. Oh, such good fun. I'm a massive MX-5 fan. And this is a really cracking example. It's brilliant. Right, enough messing about, Suzanne. Let's find out exactly what this one can do. Whoa! Oozing that power out. Come on.
We take 1 minute 9.6.
You're going to ask my boss for some new tyres. Thinking about it.
Time for the new one.
Now, the first thing I notice, hitting the brakes, I've got ABS. Turning the wheel, I've also got power steering. And... and a big spin.
Clearly, I had to make up for that slight over-exuberance and drive the car hard. In fact, I drove it so hard, the roof came off.
With your car, I really felt on top of those front tyres. Well, with this, I feel much more remote. Yeah. There's definitely sort of more body roll than there was in your car. Gosh, I hate to say it, but I actually prefer yours. Yay! Right, I think we've done enough tarting about, don't you? Yes. All right, time to see which is quicker. This one or your one?
At the radar, the new car is ahead by 0.6 of a second. And at the hairpin, it's still ahead, winning overall by just over a second.
His first choice to test drive, the Ferrari F430. £118,000, 196 miles an hour, and 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. It's just awesome.
Are you excited?
Very.
Now, for me, you know, one of the nicest things about this is the engine. You've never heard one of these before, have you?
Never.
Just stand just here, and I'll just, I'll light the girl up.
Amazing.
Do you want one?
Yes, please.
All right, well, get yourself in.
Dear, oh dear.
That'll be the horn then.
So, first impressions, what?
I mean, it's scary.
Really?
Yeah, that
What sort of feeling you getting from the...
power, just the throttle takeoff was so light and it's just there instantly.
Not difficult to drive, though, eh?
No, not at all. It's a pleasure to drive.
You know, it is amazing that people, you know, they see these things and they think, oh, it's going to be impossible to drive, but at the end of the day, it's just a car.
It feels like I've got an absolute ton of power waiting to go. I'm literally just feathering the throttle. There's no pressure on it at all. The slightest bit more, and you feel it kicking in.
Go down, say, three gears on the left, down to third, and again, and again, and again. Go on, and again. Go on. Look at that smile, that's a proper smile. What do you think now?
Amazing. I'm a bit lost for words at the moment.
Well, that's exactly what it should do to you. It should take your breath away. So, what we'll do now is we'll whiz back in and time to try the Aston Martin.
The V8 Vantage. £80,000, 175 miles an hour, and 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. Will it impress him more than the Ferrari?
You've got to do some work now. You've got to use your left foot.
Yeah. It's not so aggressive. Yeah. Much smoother. It's not as loud inside either.
Right, so let's have a go here. Come down to, say, a little dab on the brakes, get down to fourth. Now she starts.
That's different, yeah.
It's got good noise, hasn't it?
This is a car you feel like you could do a lot of miles in. I love the sound of the engine when we accelerated there. It gives you a good feel. Again, it's very easy to drive. The gearbox is quite heavy. You've got to work your foot on the clutch pretty well as well. But I love the look of it.
It is a gorgeous car.
Very pleasing to the eye. It's delivered a lot smoother than the Ferrari. The Ferrari is ferocious.
Choices, choices, choices.
It's not only Rob who has the choice. The whole family have to approve, and it seems even cost-conscious wife Debbie has come round to the supercar way of thinking. Good girl.
Really.
So, what will it be? The Aston Martin V8 Vantage or the Ferrari F430? Which one would you choose?
So then, Rob, you've driven them both. You've touched them, squeezed them, looked at them. The family's had a good look round. Tell me what you like about the Ferrari.
I like it because it's absolutely full on. Yeah. Straight away, as soon as you get in, start it up, the thrill straight away. You start smiling, you smile all through the drive, and you don't stop smiling until you turn it off. And even then, when you get out, you still turn around and want to look at it. It's a fantastic car.
Anything you didn't like?
No.
I think you'd be hard pushed. Now, the Aston, great looking car. What do you like about that?
Again, I still love the look. I think it's a fantastic looking car. It didn't give me that wow factor that the Ferrari did. A lovely smooth drive. Again, I love the interior, everything about it. But for pure fun, it was no comparison to the Ferrari.
Right. Things you don't like about it?
Yeah, there was only one thing that really bugged me, and it's a big bug, was the gearbox. The gearbox was ever so heavy, very clunky. If I was driving around town in that, it'd drive me bananas.
Now, what are the family? What have they had to say?
I think that they're coming round to the Ferrari.
They're very wise.
They've heard the both and the sound of them.
I think we're leaning this way, aren't we?
Definitely.
So, your choice is?
The Ferrari.
Well done. Right, let's go and get the keys and then I'll show you how to drive it properly.
Robert is currently scouring the internet to try and find a new 430 to beat the 2-year waiting list. And he's not having a red one. Oh no, a grey one like this will do just fine.
In the world of premium 4x4s, we've got ones that drive really well, like BMW's X5. We've got ones that are lovely and practical and seat 7, like Volvo's XC90. And we've also got ones that are upmarket and limousine-y, like Mercedes ML. But what we haven't got is one that is all of those things. Or have we? Audi are the last big name to turn up at the SUV party with this, the Q7. And it's big. In fact, we're here in Arizona because it literally won't fit in Britain. At more than 5 metres long, a Q7 is longer than the average British parking bay. And unless you fold the wing mirrors up, it won't fit in a standard British garage. One of the benefits of exterior bigness is interior space. Now, you can have a Q7 as a 5, 6 or a 7-seater, but we've got the 6-seater version here, which means that instead of a centre seat in the middle, we've got a kind of, well, a cubbyhole thing. One of the interesting things about this middle row is that these seats can move independently backwards and forwards. They also recline to give you a bit more comfort. One thing I'd like you to show you though, Barry, if I just move this out your way. This third row of seats, the back pair, well, Audi reckon you can get a 5-footer in there. But if I sit where I'm comfortable, which is about there, then you'll notice that there's not a lot of legroom there. You'd have to be a fairly short 5-foot person. There is, however, better news in the boot. If I just flip down this last set of seats here, which is a one-touch affair, that is a 5-foot deep boot, which is actually the best in class. The thing you'll notice, though, is this is quite a high load lip to get things into. So if you press this button, the car will kneel on its air suspension so that you can get heavy objects easily into the boot. I'm here in the £48,000 4.2-litre V8, which is great, it's smooth, but doesn't feel particularly fast. It doesn't really matter, because 70% of people are going to end up in the 3-litre diesel, which makes more sense because it's a big and heavy car and it has a lot more torque. Usefully, the diesel is also 10 grand cheaper at £38,000. It should do about 25 miles to the gallon, but it is worth pointing out that the equivalent Merc ML and BMX5 are both quicker to 60. All cars get a 6-speed automatic transmission, which is great, and they all have that air suspension. But to be honest, that's fairly firm no matter what setting you have it in. What does win it big limo points is the interior. somehow Audi just seemed to choose the classiest shade of black. You can pick up the multimedia interface in minutes, and there are all sorts of small touches that make a really big difference, like separate air conditioners for the back, or wipers that automatically raise to the heated part of the windscreen when it's cold so they don't freeze. A neat option is the rear view camera with target lines to help guide you home, a luxury you soon get used to and miss in other cars.
Now, one thing you might not have seen before is this thing called lane change assist, which is basically £450 worth of radar that surrounds the back of the car and tells you when something's in your blind spot. Now, I know there's a black Q7 behind me, and as it pulls alongside and disappears out of my wing mirror, a little orange light tells me that there's something in my blind spot. Now, if I indicate to move out, 3 little flashes tell me that it's not safe, and sure enough, there she goes.
So, in terms of practicality and luxury, the Audi is a winner. But SUVs are often let down by the way they drive. They feel, I don't know, wobbly, slow to react, a bit agricultural. To find out if the Q7 is an SUV that handles, we've called in some help.
OK, so here's the challenge. The Arizona State Police have kindly shut down 1 mile of the most twisty and treacherous road that they know. I have to try and outrun the sheriff behind me, who knows these roads like the back of his hand, before we reach the finish line. There's a sergeant at the finish line 1 mile away. Let's go. OK, immediately we're feeling the grunt. It's 350 horsepower from this 4.2 litre V8, and we certainly seem to be losing him slightly on the pull away. They're pitching this as the feedback of a sports car, but no, I've got to say, possibly not. It's pretty good for an SUV. And come on, you're just waiting for the kickdown, waiting for it to pull itself out of there. Audi obviously know what they're doing, but it's not exactly fun. You know, this thing's quite competent, but the steering's not quite there. I just don't feel like I'm enjoying it. It might be effective, but it feels like it's doing it with the electronics. It doesn't feel like it's got any fluidity to it. The sheriff's definitely falling back. I've got him. I think I've definitely got him. OK, there's the mile marker now. I think that's a pretty convincing victory. We're through. And what a relief. A police chase that didn't end in jail.
Time for the bit of the show where we simply decide what's quickest. Yes, it's time for one of our world-famous shootouts. First up, it's the latest Subaru Impreza STI. Over the years, it's had more facelifts than Joan Rivers, but its vital statistics are still mightily impressive. 0 to 60 in 5 seconds and 160 miles an hour. Next off the starting blocks, its illegitimate second cousin, the Subaru Forester STI. Only available as a grey import, it packs an astounding 330 bhp, meaning it's even quicker to 60 than the Impreza. Can an estate really beat the iconic rally car? I sense a family feud. First up, the Impreza. Changes to this 06 model include a bigger engine up from 2 litres to 2.5 and a hike of about 15 horsepower. Now, in typical Subaru style, its power delivery comes in one big wallop. Hit 3,000 RPM, the turbo goes, which can be slightly unrefined around town, but on a racetrack like this, it is a lot of fun. Now, you may wonder why I can get the tail out so easily on this four-wheel drive. Well, that is because of a little switch down here. Basically, I can override the centre diff and therefore put the majority of the power to the rear wheels, therefore making it like a rear-wheel drive car. Right, enough arse swinging. Time for a comparatively quick lap. The Impreza crosses the line in 59.4 seconds. No. God's truth. Now, this Forester may be a big old barge to look at, but it's only 70 kilograms heavier than the Impreza.
That's about the weight of a medium-sized man. Oh. Now, for some reason, its power delivery seems a lot smoother, and maybe it's because it has got that extra bulk to shift. But it is incredibly agile. It's based on the Impreza, so therefore you're bound to get a really good car to start with. And I'm really surprised at how taut the suspension is and how sort of flat the chassis remains through the corners. I can't get it to go fully sideways like I could with the Impreza, and that's because I don't have the manual override of the centre diff. I wonder if... Right, I've just had a little play with a handbrake, and I reckon I can induce some rear-end stuff. So I'm going to turn her in, put it clutch. Brilliant! See, it might be a big old barge, but it can go sideways too. What a wheeze! This is a family car. It's got rear doors. If I was a kid, I'd love to be taken to school in this. Okay, enough messing about. Let's see if it can beat the Impreza.
At radar, the Forester is 6/10 down, but by the hairpin, it's half the gap. However, by the end, the Impreza's agility stretches out a 1-second lead.
And now it's time for one of our much talked about head-to-head time trials. You've guessed it, it's shootout time. It's the Astra VXR versus the Focus ST. The VXR costs 19 grand and has 240 horsepower. Gets to 60 in around 6 seconds and will do more than 150 miles an hour. The ST is cheaper at £17,500, but is less powerful with 225 bhp. It's not as quick as the Astra, but it's one of the sweetest handling cars I've driven recently. First up, the Astra. Now, if you want a car that's lively, then the Vauxhall VXR is the place for you. It turns in quite well, but then as you add the power, you get a little bit of wheel spin, the front then pulls to the left, and as you lift off, it pulls to the right. So much power and torque, it's almost inevitable. So it makes for a rather unnerving drive once you're out onto the straight. It lifts off. And the power itself, it's good old-fashioned turbo lag. It comes in great big dollops. 1 minute you haven't got that much power, then woof, there it is. It's a car that I think you like for its character, even if it's a bit like riding a bucking bronco. Fast but wild. Now, given that these powerful hot hatches are a bit of a handful, we designed a test to see not just which is quickest, but which is easiest to drive. So the hot laps will be conducted one-handed. Well, I can assure you, this is the first time I've ever done in the power. Whoa, a bit of that torque steer, and it does feel a bit... Now comes the acceleration of the torque steer, and I'm going to get from second to third before I turn into the final mountain. Left, right, heading for the finish line. Forward and third, fourth, and second time for the Focus to beat. 55.06 is just 2/10 slower than my two-handed time. How will the Focus compare? Now, I have to confess, even in its bright orange skin, I've got a bit of a soft spot for this Focus ST. It's got this lovely, growly, throaty, 5-cylinder Volvo engine under the bonnet that has a nice little roar as you come up through the rev band. And underneath you is this chassis that is so responsive, playful even. I can accelerating a little bit, and other way, and then a little bit. Oh, there we go. Oh, too much. Hit the throttle and straighten it out. That sort of playfulness. But how playful will it be one-handed? Big slide. The Focus is certainly an easier car to play with, but at the radar complex, the VXR's power advantage has got it ahead by 2/10. We've got a bit sideways, but I've gone sideways the other way. We've held it. By the hairpin, the gap has increased to 3/10. We're just got to grab forth and dive for the line. In the end, the Astra wins by 0.6 of a second, a similar result to driving two-handed.
There's a beast of a car that's just come out that I'm so keen to drive. I've come to the factory in deepest Germany just to get my hands on it. I've come to get this, the all-new BMW Z4M Roadster.
The roads around Munich are dull as dishwater, so we're heading straight for the place where BMW test drivers make their final checks to the cars, the Alps.
Germany is just behind us. We're heading into Austria. Let's get after it. The Z4M costs about 43 grand, so it's about the same price as the M3. It's got the same fantastic 340 brake horsepower straight-six engine, but it's even lighter. So that means it's even faster. Now, I heard reports that this Z4M is a bit of an animal, a bit unwieldy, almost like a modern AC Cobra. Well, I disagree. Yes, if you turn off the electronic toys, it can be a bit nervous at times, but only if you drive it like a fool. It is a bit back to basics, but that's what a roadster should be. But one area where the Z4M is definitely as leery as the AC Cobra is outright performance, like 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, for example. And just to demonstrate how spectacular that is, I'm going to be showing you one of AC Cobra's old sales tricks. Now, Ian, our faithful director, will be the guinea pig. Carroll Shelby, back in the 60s, used to place a £20 note on the dashboard, and if under hard acceleration, the customer could take it off the dash, it was theirs. Let's see if you can get it. Well, mate, I'm at 60 miles an hour. Keep your hands off, that's my dough. It's quite impressive, that, isn't it?
It's very, yeah, genuinely couldn't reach it.
Now, all the controls match the car's personality. I mean, the clutch is heavy. The gearbox, that's heavy too. The steering, they've done away with this fancy electronic system and put on, they've gone back to basics, if you like, and put on a hydraulic system. It gives more feel, makes it a heavier turn in. It's a proper sports car. It's how they should feel, stiff and taut. You know, this is a car when you're thrashing around dodgy little roads like we are now. You have to have a little bit in reserve. You have to give it, you know, a certain amount of respect. That can't be said of other cars. You know, that can't be said of the Porsche Boxster. Porsche is so accomplished, almost too easy to drive on the ragged edge. This is, I wouldn't say it's a bit of an animal, but I would say you've got to think about what you're doing.
So, here's the big question. Should you buy a Z4M Roadster? Well, it's a tough call given that the Porsche Boxster S is £3.5 grand cheaper and almost as quick. But whereas the Porsche is like listening to a CD on a top-notch hi-fi, the BM is like standing in front of a speaker at a rock concert. It's a simple formula, a big engine in a small chassis, and I love it.
This is the car of the moment, the RS4. A car Audi literally can't build quickly enough. buy one today, and it won't arrive till next year. You only have to look at one figure to understand why. 414 horsepower. This four-door saloon-has got more power than the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. And at just a fraction under £50,000, it's 30 grand cheaper. It's no good looking around at the competition. Because on paper, this car just hasn't got any.
But Tiff, I disagree. I reckon there's an old dog out there that can teach the Audi a few tricks. The BMW M3 has been around since 2000, and although it's 80 horsepower shy of the Audi, I reckon this new version, the CS, with its bigger brakes and quicker steering, could still be the car to have.
And in typical fifth gear fashion, we'll be conducting some unscientific tests to find out which really is the best super saloon. There'll be a drag race, a power sliding competition where you'll get closer to the action than ever before, and we'll finish off with a head-to-head tussle round the track. First up, a straight line drag.
Jason's got no chance on his first test. This is where four-wheel drive really can count. Straight line acceleration, especially on a slightly greasy track.
Now, if I'm honest, I don't fancy my chances very much here because Tiff has four-wheel drive and more power.
I'm a bit wary as to how many revs to give it.
Here we go. Oh, good grip. Oh, he's away.
Now the power comes in and they're burning away.
Oh, look him go, that's not.
To make sure it wasn't a fluke, we lined up for another race. Will someone... What's going on? Oh, sake. Although it turned out the official fifth gear starter wasn't quite ready for us. He was waving us on.
No, we go like that.
Well, you can't tell which way. If your hands go...
That means stop.
Yeah.
Right.
If you move hands backwards and forwards, we don't know if it's...
Well, you did that when you stopped.
Yeah, but you brought your hands back.
I didn't go like that when you were stationary.
Take two. The trouble with four-wheel drivers, you've got to be careful because if you dump the clutch at maximum revs, you're going to slip the clutch. Rear-wheel drive is just going to spin the wheels, burn a bit of rubber. But I want to burn this clutch, but I've got to get it about right. Oh, I've got a bit of wheel spin. Woof, and it's launched. They're burning away.
The Audi was clearly better in a straight line, winning 7 out of 7 drag races, even when Tiff wasn't concentrating.
And he just disappears. Poor Mr. Kia should be concentrating on more. He's still going to lose big time.
So, a convincing victory in the first round for Tiff and the Audi. Join us later when the balance of power may shift as we head to round 2, drifting.
And now on fifth gear, a love story. It's a tale of two star-crossed lovers, and we're all praying that this time they can actually make the relationship work. Vicky was unlucky in love. She had a weakness for handsome Italians. They promised so much, but always let her down. There was the GTV, the 156, the GT. But none of them drove as well as they looked, and Vicky always ended up heartbroken.
I've had enough. I'm not falling for it again. The new Alfa Brere's over there, but I'm not testing it. It's beautiful, but I'm just too jaded from all those previous letdowns. Nope, not even this once. I don't want to put myself through that heartache again.
You know it isn't very beautiful. But no, I've been there before. No.
We girls, we never learn. It's the even sexier brother of the handsome new 159 saloon, but with a shorter wheelbase and a 2+2 body, although there's not much room for canoodling in the back. It's vying with the Nissan 350Z and the Audi TT for my affections, but frankly, there's no contest in the looks department. You won't see a more beautiful car launched this year. And then we come to the engine. Naturally, there's a barrel-chested V6 and a 2.2-litre petrol, but my rendezvous today is with the thinking woman's choice, the diesel. It's Alpha's own 2.4-litre, 20-valve, 5-cylinder turbocharged unit that gives a very respectable 200 brake horsepower. Yes, that's hot hatch power from an oil burner. It doesn't quite deliver hot hatch performance though. 142 miles an hour and 0 to 62 in 8.1 seconds. But the way it gets there is very impressive. Okay, you do have to snatch second gear pretty early on, but from then on in, it is incredibly smooth. The turbo working its little heart out to give you all it's got. When you're not in such a hurry, you can really appreciate the torque, all 295 pound-foot of it, dished out at your convenience very early on in the rev range, which means it'll make a good motorway companion, giving you overtaking oomph in 5th and 6th gear. The gearbox itself, it's good. A short lever, a short throw and a meaty feel give it the thumbs up from me. And the thinking woman in me approves of the 41.5 mpg that this car's capable of. So the date is going pretty well so far. The Brera's performance is more than satisfactory. But for a long-term relationship, I want a car that handles. I've really been pinning my hopes on this car being as beautiful to drive as it is to look at. Sadly, my dreams have not quite been realised. There is no feeling whatsoever through the wheel until you attack a bend. And then it bumps and jolts its way round the corner. And if those fat 18-inch tyres happen to hook into a groove in the road, you spend your time wrestling with the wheel just to keep it steady. You also notice how nose-heavy the car is when you turn it in, so it's not the composed, sweet-handling sports coupe of my dreams. But it is the best Alpha I have driven in years. Oh yeah, baby.
Earlier in the show, we saw that in a straight line, the BMW M3 CS can't touch the Audi RS4. But what about going round a bend, sidewards? Before the power sliding contest began, we allowed ourselves some practice runs.
Well, we've got a box of tricks in which measures drift angle, so we're going to find out how good I am relative to TIFF. So I reckon even though it's wet, we need third gear. Let's have a go. So try and get it in, boot for the welly, catch it on the... That's it. Well, that's not bad. How much we got? Whoa, hello. And we got 30 degrees.
If you're even more aggressive with the steering, you can get it even more sideways.
Degrees.
I managed 90 degrees and a bit of grass in my practice as I worked out how the ever-varying four-wheel drive power delivery affected the handling.
The big difference with this four-wheel drive sliding is that it's either throttle fully off or throttle fully on, just straight up. Full off, throws the car sideways, full on, straightens it, whereas Jason's got that balanced throttle control. So I come flying in, wrong way, right way. Let it go, let it go, let it go. No throttle, no throttle, no throttle. Then floor the throttle. Whoa! And that grabs the front of the car and brings it straight.
A nice power slide is all about style, not just the degree of drift. So for the main runs, we decided to judge each other from the best seat in the house.
Right, so Tiff is following me behind to give me some scores.
Right, so let's have a look at Jason's technique here. Quite a slowish approach. And then, oh, he breaks traction. And he sits there now, he's got the opposite lock on, he's balanced on the throttle. But now this is tricky, but you've got to ease off the throttle at the end of the corner and not go into the middle of the road. I mean, I can only give you a 9. No, well, look, the slide was brilliant, but at the end, you speared back into the middle of the road, but you've got to finish it up the edge of the road.
Right, that's the challenge. Right, Tiff's, he set me a big challenge. I've got 9 out of 10 so far. But when I finish the drift, I've got to come right up the edge of the track, and for that, he'll award a 10. And to be given a 10 by Tiff Niddell is a bloody good score.
Right, let's see if we can get that magical 10. Again, slow in, snaps it, breaks the traction. Now he's holding there, throttle opposite lock. Good, good. Now can he finish with a smooth up the edge? Oh yeah! Dead, all right.
How was that, Mr. Niddell?
Very good. All right, so I suppose you want me to do this. I can't. I haven't got rear-wheel drive.
Right, now it's my turn to watch Tiff. I have to say, I've got the easiest car to do these drifts in. This, the BMW M3 is phenomenal fun, where Tiff's in a forward drive car, even though it's apparently got an 85-degree split on the rear, it'll be very hard to do it. Oh, I've got to get close to him. Where's he going? Oh, he's chucked up. He's had the big... Where's he gone? Oh.
Somehow Tiff rescues the car from a seemingly impossible angle. But by ending up on completely the wrong side of the track, I can only award 7 out of 10.
It looks hard working, that. It just doesn't want to oversteer in a nice way, does it?
No, you just get it sideways, then you just have to straighten it. It's all I can do, I'm afraid. I'll do it once more.
I reckon you can do it better. There it goes, Tim.
It's a fantastic effort. I reckon it's worth a 9.
So I think Jason's having more fun in the BMW than I am, even though I'm getting more sideways. If he can hold it longer, I can make it bigger.
Hey, it looks all or nothing in that. Great effort, but it's either tons or none.
That's it. I can't do better. I'm retiring.
BMW wins that test, eh?
You're having more fun in that.
Yeah, it's £10 a lap. Do you want to go?
No, I want to race now. I want to go around the whole circuit.
So, in a straight line, the Audi wins. Round the bends, the BMW's more fun. But which comes out on top when you pull it all together? Let's race.
Now, it's all down to the start, so focus on the lights.
Oh, I know I can out-drag him. Can I out-corner him?
Oh, wheel spin and tips away. I'll tell you what, that car's got some grunt.
Normally, especially this first turn, it just wants to push wide. I can't really get on the power as quick as I want. So there's the understeer. Now, although the ESP's off, I've still got big understeer, and he stayed with me through that first corner.
Oh, hello, hello. See if I can nip a bit on him on the brakes. Oh, nearly on the grass. But he's not pulling away too much.
Bit of change of direction through the chicane. I'm just thankful I've got that 414 horsepower so I can outgrunt him.
I've got a better exit there than Tiff, but I have to say he's away again. I tell you, there's not a lot in it, but the Audi just looks a bit secure, a bit samey, a bit safe, where this is a bit twitchy.
Just that little bit of safety first that Audi have. It's so sure-footed. Just not that bit of fun that I want to drive on a track. Because there again, I can't get on the power as soon as I really want to. He's not going to beat me. We are going to win, hands down. Final corner, and a flick. A little bit again, understeer. Lovely traction all the way through. And he's well beat.
And we just finished in time for the snow. Well, I was working quite hard there, a lot of concentration. Tiff looked like he was on a Sunday afternoon drive. That's the security of four-wheel drive. I don't think he's having as much fun as I am. But you have to say, the Audi is quicker over a lap. God, I hate losing. I hate losing.
The new RS4, it's unbeatable.
Germany, home of the Autobahn, the first superhighways, an almost mythical network of motorways where you can drive as fast as you like. Or can you? Well, I've come to find out to see if you really can drive at VMAX.
And my Chariot? One of the most boring-looking cars launched this year, the Audi S6. You need a jeweler's eyepiece to spot the discreet badging that signals this is something a bit special. This is a £55,000 car with an engine out of a Lamborghini. And yet it looks like something an accountant would drive. Actually, a very wealthy accountant. Audi reckon the average income of an S6 buyer is 90 grand. And if you want one, you better be quick, because only 250 are coming to the UK this year. Finding an Autobahn isn't difficult. With 7,000 miles of motorways, only the USA has more. But finding somewhere to go flat out, well, that's a bit harder. The big thing we discovered is that only half the Autobahns have no speed limit. Areas by junctions or roadworks are restricted, and temporary limits are often enforced at night or in bad weather. Even when you see the magic no-limit sign, you have to remember there's still a recommended speed limit of 80 miles an hour. Drive recklessly above that speed and the police will take a very dim view. But that threat doesn't stop most people getting after it.
Now this S6 is, well, it's just phenomenal. 5-litre V10, 435 horsepower, in the most amazingly comfy armchair, so refined. It's beautiful. It wafts along, it's quiet. My God, does it go somewhere. I mean, we just keep going and going and going. The gearbox is silky smooth. Oh, it is a wonderful car.
The S6 is limited to 155, the result of a sort of gentleman's agreement between the major German manufacturers as a nod to safety. Our mission is to see if you can actually hit that top speed.
Time to light the touch paper. We've now gone past the UK speed limit. 70 mile an hour, 80, 90, 100 mile an hour. That's 130. Yeah, we're on a unlimited stretch of the road here, and it's a dual carriageway. But one thing that is great over here is the roads are fantastic, the quality, there's very little bumps, there's hardly any roadworks, but also the driving. You know, the German drivers, they might not have a sense of humour, but boy, can they drive a car. Their cars are nailed to the centre of the road, their lane discipline. Well, I've never seen anything like it. It's a joy to drive over here.
The drizzle was forecast to become a downpour, so he knew we only get one more chance to hit 155.
There's 130 gone. 140. Tell you, even in the rain, this car feels absolutely rock solid. I reckon this could be the fastest bit of TV on a public highway. And there it is, 155 miles an hour on the rev limiter.
The truth is, autobahns aren't quite the unrestricted playgrounds you may think. But if you pick your spot wisely and time it sensibly, it really is possible to drive your car flat out.
This is a Peugeot 206, and this is a 207. Can you spot the difference? The 207 isn't strictly a replacement for the 206, more the next model up. The newer car is slightly longer, slightly wider, slightly taller, and about an average person heavier. So the most important car this year isn't going to win any prizes for being radical. Nor is it going to win any prizes as a motorway cruiser. A boring hour on a Spanish autopista highlighted lots of faults, like it feeling noisy and a bit strained.
I keep wanting to change up. It's a 5-speed gearbox. How irritating! That is bad, 5-speeders. Nobody has 5-speeders anymore. It could cruise in a much more relaxed fashion. It just hasn't got the gear to do it. Honda Civic's got 6-speed throughout the range. I'm sure I recognise this centre panel from the 206, which means that it's kind of a bit mid-1990s. Small buttons, no great ergonomic leap forward. There's got this digital thing here with what the CD's playing and stuff like that. And it looks like a 1980s video game, like Pong or something. It's all, like, pixelated. It's not the kind of super cool, I don't know, what do you call it, animations that other cars have got these days. It doesn't feel funky. That's what I think I've got a problem with. And we're going up a hill now, and I could pedal it.
It's not even as if this 1.4-litre petrol engine with its 75 brake horsepower is more suited to the lower speed cut and thrust of town driving either.
I'm going to change down, there we go, we're in third, and floor it. And nothing.
It was all rather disappointing for a car that should be entertaining to drive. But strangely, that underpowered feeling suddenly made more sense when we got to the twisties.
I've been driving this car for a while now, and earlier on, when we were on the motorway, I didn't like it, but now we've got into the mountains and we're really going for it. To be honest, it's really good. It's got a lot more chassis ability than power. Reminds me of cars I used to drive when I was a kid. You just have to chuck it in and carry a bit of corner speed. And it's actually quite good fun. It's little, it's nippy, I don't feel intimidated by it, and for a base car, it's pretty damn good.
And here's another good point. I can fit in it.
The one thing you'll instantly notice is that there's lots more room in the 207, more headroom, more legroom. The 206 used to have a real problem with anybody over 6 feet tall because the seats just didn't fit. They felt a bit like a dodgem with a church pew wedged in them.
But the thing is that this car doesn't seem new. It already feels run-of-the-mill. Not that that's a bad thing. Some of the most popular stuff in the world is reassuringly average, and that's what the 207 is.
It's a grade C at GCSE.
It's like a 3-bed semi. It's 5'10".
It's a medium-sliced white loaf.
Ultimately, I reckon the 207 will take Peugeot back to the top of the sales charts because of one simple factor. For about the same money as a 206, you're getting a car with more space. It may be average and lack any sort of excitement, but it's also a no-brainer.
Right, now you probably know that I'm not very keen on old cars. They're usually uncomfortable, they don't handle very well, they've got rubbish brakes, they leak. But there was one old design that I was willing to travel 6,000 miles to have a go in. The original GT40 was developed by Ford back in the 60s to teach Ferrari a lesson at Le Mans. And it did the trick. The car won the 24-hour race 4 times in a row. It is one of the most evocative cars of all time. And if you want an original, it will cost you around £1 million. But there is a cheaper option. You could visit Hi-Tech Automotive's base in Port Elizabeth and get one of these. Hi-Tech build one of my favourite cars, the Noble, and now they've come up with this GT40 replica. And believe me, it is an absolute carbon copy, right down to the shape of the oily bits.
The only changes are a switch to left-hand drive and a repositioning of the gear lever in the centre of the car, which allows for a slightly wider seat. With both these modifications being done to attract the American buyer. And it's mainly in America that most of these cars will go to. Oh yes, and one other little modification. They put in air conditioning. Now that's something you'd never expect, but it's something which on this cruise down the Cape Peninsula is more than welcome in the heat of the sunshine.
You can choose from a range of glorious V8 engines. This 6.5-litre version produces 480 horsepower. And every time you touch the throttle, it feels like the car is going to soar into the air.
And just like all the Ford GT40s that I've raced and driven, it's quite a heavy steering from the word go, which lightens up as the speed increases.
Ford's own modern-day interpretation, the GT, costs around £120,000, and you'd expect a version like this, so painstakingly crafted to be like the original, to cost even more. But actually, you can get one, even with right-hand drive, for around £60,000. And there's just nothing around for that money with the same sense of occasion. At slow speeds, the car is a delight. So imagine what it would be like on a track. This is the Killarney circuit north of Cape Town, a place I haven't raced at for nearly 20 years. But it's a fabulous circuit, and I still know the fast way round.
Past the pits under this famous tyre ridge, slamming on the brakes now, going to give it a G-force in. Long, long second gear corners. And then mash that throttle down. It really feels a well-sorted car. That's what's impressing me about this South African-made GT40. There's no rattles or shakes. It's solid. Oh, on the curbs, Tim. This is the sort of experience everyone should somehow be given in their lives to make them understand why I get such a kick out of driving racing cars. That roaring acceleration which just pumps the adrenaline through your blood and just forces that smile onto your face. Oh, Rick! There's that long, long left-handed hairpin now. And the back wanting to go. I want to give it more power a bit sooner, but the corner goes on and on. Amazing now I come up this straight, and there ahead of me is Table Mountain. You just don't want to stop doing things like this. Not today, not now, not never. One more lap.
But we start with a trip to Italy to drive the latest version of an executive saloon that's owned by a select few that include U2's Bono. There is only one cool executive car, the Maserati Quattroporte. It's the most exclusive, with just 170 sold in the UK. It's the best design, striking but not showy. It's got the best engine, a 4.2-litre V8 with strong links to Ferrari. And it's the quickest, 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds. But I wouldn't want one for one simple reason: the gearbox. It was hopeless. First drives revealed it was a sort of gearbox that gave flappy paddles a bad name. It simply couldn't change gear without giving you whiplash. But now, there's a new version. The Quattroporte Sport GT. I don't care that the GT comes with a black chrome grille. I don't care that they've changed the front bumper a bit. All I care about is what's billed as a radically overhauled gearbox. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a road test of a gearbox. And it's no ordinary auto box either. This is one of those F1-style manual gearboxes with an electronic shift system. If this car now changes up and down smoothly, then it's finally something I can recommend. So, gear change number 1. Ooh, that was second. That was smooth. Where's third? Well, these are very smooth gear changes. I don't think you could expect for anything better than that. They're slow. This is in the basic auto mode, and I can't see any problem driving around town that's not going to jerk the gin and tonic out of my passenger's hand. So far, so good. At low speeds, the automatic change works well. But what happens if you're going a bit quicker? Time to head out of town and try the sport auto mode. But I think I've gone the wrong way. I need a 3-point turn, which gives me a chance to check out how quickly we can find reverse. Pull up a little toggle, it's in, very impressive. One finger paddle, and we're away. Now that is good. The original ones, these flappy paddles, when you had to get reverse, you had to pull everything into neutral and panic, and it would take ages by the time you'd been T-boned by the articulated lorry coming down the street. So we now press our sport button, which apparently speeds up the gear change now, but it's about 20% faster. At about 7,000 RPM, it slipped from second to third with quite a long pause, but not too much of a jerk. So I think if I'm really going to use the 400 horsepower, it's time to forget all this auto stuff. Let's go to manual. There are 2 manual modes, normal or sport. And in sport, the gear changes are at their very fastest. The gear changes are 60% faster than in that basic manual mode. Of course, I have to say I would still prefer a proper manual, but Quattroportes don't come with those. And there's still a slight concern with all these flappy pedal gearboxes. The life expectancy of clutches isn't as high as it is on a manual. That's always something you have to think about. But in terms of smoothness, the gearbox is now excellent, changing up and down slickly while letting you keep both hands on the wheel at all times, which is nicely reassuring when you're pressing on in the wet. So the Maserati Quattroporte Sport GT now has one of my favourite flappy paddle gearboxes, and it's now a car you can buy, if you've got £80,550 to spare.
And now off to my second home, rain-lashed, windswept Anglesey for another of our world-famous head-to-head shootouts. It's the Battle of the M-Cars. Is a BMW M5 really £18,000 slower than a BMW M6? In some ways, the 2 cars are remarkably similar. Both have a 5-litre V10 with over 500 brake horsepower. Both will hit 62 in under 5 seconds, and both would crack 200 miles an hour if de-restricted. Look hard, though, and you'll spot the differences. Both have had rave reviews on 5th gear, but which is quicker? very lovely Mr. Tiff Niddell reckons this M5 is one of the best cars in the world ever. And as usual, I agree with him. What more do you want? This is a family saloon car that goes like, off a shovel. Now, it's got quite beefy nightclub bouncer looks, and to be fair, no one is going to mess with you when you're driving this. Nobody's going to come along and kick sand in your face, because you are driving a big fat M5. Respect. Now, the best bit about this car is that you can really quickly turn it from a docile St. Bernard into an all-snarling, breathing, barking Rottweiler at the press of a few buttons. One here, it speeds up the gear changes. This one here firms up the suspension. The next one turns off the traction control. And the last one, the power button, that one gives you 500 brake horsepower. I mean, what I need with 500 brake horsepower on a day like today, I have no idea. But I'm gonna keep it on anyway, because I is well odd. Right, I think we're gonna try with the traction control on for our fast lap. Let's have a go. M5 wades round a sodden track in 61.6 seconds. And so to the M6, which is possibly the M5's closest rival. So what have you got? Well, you have a much sharper suit than the one that the M5 sports. You also get a shorter wheelbase, it sits lower to the ground, and you get a very sexy, lightweight carbon fibre roof. This car is a bit lighter than the M5, and it has a better 0 to 60 time, taking 4.7 seconds as opposed to the M5's 4.9. This is going to be such a close call. Is it going to be the M5? Is it going to be the M6? Oh, I don't know. There's only one way to find out. Honestly, I mean, crikey, I don't need more than 2 brake horsepower today. By radar, the M6 is drawn ahead by over 1/10 of a second. Grabbing another whisker by the hairpin. And it turns out the M6's 18 grand premium is worth 2/10 by the finish line.
As I'm sure you know, Eos is the ancient Greek goddess of the dawn. It's also the name of a brand new model in the Volkswagen range. It's a little bit bigger than a Golf and a little bit smaller than a Passat. There's a 1.6-litre petrol engine, a 2-litre diesel, and this 2-litre turbo petrol unit. Come the autumn, there's going to be a range-topping 3.2-litre V6. Volkswagen call it an affordable dream car. So far, the only thing dreamy has been this music. But it's not as dull as I first thought. This new coupe has a folding hard top. The extremely complex mechanism breaks into 5 different pieces, so it takes up less space in the boot, which means it doesn't have a big bum like some other hardtop convertibles. The bad thing is, it takes an age to operate. With summer coming, this is just the sort of novelty car from a dependable manufacturer that people love to buy. But should you? Well, I'm in Greece, and in the spirit of the country, I'm taking this car on a marathon. That's 26 miles through coastal roads, congested streets, villages and mountains. It's not enough to just have a fancy roof. If you buy one, you've got to live with it all year round, not just the occasional sunny summer day. So, I'm going to tell you what it's like to actually live with this car.
Firstly, if you buy a new Eos, well, you're paying premium prices. They start at 19,000 and head all the way up to 28 grand for the top of the range, fully spec model. And for that kind of dough, you want to make damn sure it's a nice place to be and it's fun to drive. Now, the roads in Greece are a little bit rough, even though we're on a main road. Now, all cabriolets suffer from a condition called scuttle shake, and that's because there's no roof. The dashboard and the steering wheel gets a judder. And I have to say, this is better than most, actually. It's quite refined. It's got the same engine as the Golf GTI. And in terms of 0 to 60, well, it gets there in 7.8 seconds, which is about a second quicker than the Megane equivalent, and also quicker than the Vauxhall twin top. And when the 3.2-litre V6 comes out, well, that's going to blow everything away.
So it handles fairly well and it's quicker than the competition. What started out as a novelty car is doing all right.
Now, the inside, well, it's typical Volkswagen. Everything works very well, looks good, a bit plain, but, you know, I can see echoes of Golf and echoes of Passat in here. And that's no bad thing, you know. The fit and finish is very, very good. Nice use of materials, very, very few cheap plastics. It's a nice place to be. Now, when I first saw the new EOS, I thought it might be a bit middle of the road, a bit bland. But after spending a day in it, with the roof down, the sun shining, and a few tunes, I like it. It's got a great feel to it. It's quality. Should you buy one? Hell, why not?
And now, time for one of our legendary shootouts. This week's contenders may look like different weapons of war, but under their armour, they have very similar firepower. The Golf GTI has a 200 horsepower, 2-litre turbocharged engine that's capable of going from 0 to 62 in 7.2 seconds, with a top speed of 146 miles an hour. At £20,835, it costs over £3 grand more than this. The Skoda Octavia VRS. The Skoda shares an identical engine, chassis and gearbox with the Golf. Its top speed is actually faster at 149 miles an hour, but it is heavier, so 0 to 62 is a tenth down on the Golf. The Czech Republic versus Germany. Should be close. The Golf GTI, our car of the year back at the end of 2004 when this new version came out. It was our car of the year because it brought the GTI back to Golf. The previous models have been a bit heavy, a bit lower, they've grown a bit soft, but this is sharp. This is back where we wanted our GTI to be. 200 horsepower going through those little front wheels. They tend to understeer, the front will push wide. So when you come to a corner, you want the back to step slightly out of line, so it does some of the cornering for you. Even if you can't feel it, even if it's just imperceptibly small, it means that the front will then turn and you can then add the power and come out of the corner using those front wheels for what they're really good at, which is traction with the weight of the engine up the front. It is the all-rounder that we always wanted from our Golf GTIs. It's back. It's brilliant. And in a straight shootout, the lighter and more nimble Golf beat the Skoda by just over a second. So, to make it interesting, we're going to do the shootout with a twist. Reverse gear shootout. It's actually about 41 miles an hour now. Do I need to brake for the hairpin? Flatten on the throttle. And the Golf sets a reversing pace of 90.73 seconds. Oh. Children, do not try this at home. Next up, the Skoda Octavia VRS.
can see where they've made savings. It's got different steering rack, it's got different damping, and you can feel that in the car. It's just a bit more agricultural, not quite as neat and tidy. And now there's more body roll, there's a bit more oversteer. Just a bit. Basically, it's just a bit more dramatic. And of course, when I'm complaining, I mean, it's so little difference between the two. I mean, and for £3,500, I'll tell you what, it's a difference you'd think hard about before you spent. Right, time to go backwards. Oh, is that cracking. Oh, just another revolution.
And at the radar complex, it's the Skoda that's 0.23 seconds ahead.
That's a tire wall to miss. Good.
But with a bit of a wobble, it's neck and neck round the hairpin.
We're still doing 41, 42 miles an hour as we flash across the finishing line.
Beating the Golf GTI by over a second.
And then straight for the chiropractor and the osteopaths.
We're in Italy to test the brand new Ferrari 599 GTB Fiorano.
They say this car is capable of over 205 miles an hour. And the way it keeps accelerating whatever gear you're in, I'm not going to disbelieve them.
It will cost around £170,000, yet there's already a 2-year waiting list. It replaces the 575. But whereas that was a long-distance GT car, the 599 is intended to be more of a hardcore sports car with a boot. There are all sorts of clever aerodynamic nooks and crannies, and it's just a blink slower to 60 than the Enzo. Not surprising, as it has the same 6-litre V12 with 620 horsepower. The car is loaded with new technology. There are shock absorbers controlled by a magnetic field that instantly adapt to the changing road surface. There's predictive traction control, which knows you're getting into trouble before you do. And there's a gear change twice as fast as its predecessor. But frankly, on the road, it's hard to tell how effective all these are. All you're aware of is the ever-present blistering acceleration. The interior is stylish simplicity. But I think I'd swap the rather plasticky carbon fibre for the no-cost leather option. I'm not a big fan of the tacky LCD screen either. A Ferrari needs to be driven flat out. So we headed for the test track that gave the car its name. Except when we got there, it was clear somebody else had got their towel down first. There was a swarm of support staff on standby, and then we saw the MS code. Michael Schumacher was in town. If he was here testing rather than one of his minions, then it had to be important. We were told not to film and to wait indefinitely. Eventually, he stopped for what we assumed was a toilet break. We had the time it took him to sprinkle his shoes to see just how good the 599 really was.
Quick, here's Shuey. I'll run him over. This is me running over Michael Schumacher. You see, he's not on the circuit, because there he is. And we can, see, Shuey. Yeah, thanks, mate.
seconds. God knows what Schumacher's neck feels like when his changes gear about 30. Understeer. Oh, bit of over. No, where are we going now? Change of direction, a little bit lazy. It's no Ferrari 430, that's for sure. It's still a big car for all its wonderful scientific age. I mean, the one thing about this 590, you've got to respect the brakes. It's not the last of the late brakers, that's for sure. Then there's initial understeer, then you can brake the traction and get a bit of oversteer. Braking again, now the S's. Again, the front's pushed wide. The steering's very light. I don't get that much of a feedback for how much front grip I've got through the steering, but then I'm feeding in that lovely horsepower. Brake pedal sinks right down. Sort of squidgy thing. Over the bridge, the famous bridge. It loves it once it's settled for the exit. It doesn't like stopping. It doesn't particularly like turning in. Look, low gear. Oh! The steering wheel lights flash away like mad as you accelerate out the hairpin. And now, I've got to cool those ceramic brakes off so I don't arrive back in the box, as they call it here, the pits, with all smoke pouring out and get the finger wags from the Italians with Reto Vas. We don't let you out anymore. Schumacher, he's coming now. Apparently he needs the practice more than I do. I'm quite sure that he does.
After a small reprimand for speeding, it was time to decide whether I'd actually want a 599. And sadly, it had fallen at the final hurdle. On a track, the Corvette Z06 was more fun. So, while it works well as an exotic high-speed cruiser, if someone said I could have a free Ferrari, I'd take the more thrilling 430 every time. This is the Chevrolet Corvette Z06. It has a hand-built 7-litre V8 with 505 horsepower. It has a magnesium roof, a floor made of balsa wood, and the paint on the carbon fibre wings weighs more than the wings themselves. But to the naked eye, the only thing that tells you this car is special is the 4 missile silos at the back. And the smoke.
It doesn't take long to begin to enjoy this car. OK, there's little to excite you about the interior, which is way behind European standards, but the sounds, the sensations, the feel. I already know that I'm going to enjoy this drive. The excellent Corvette heads-up display not only now keeps the speed always in your eyesight, it's also got a new gimmick of a G-meter, which should keep the kids happy. It tells you how much force you're generating in the bends, and it's great fun trying to get the numbers as high as possible. Turn the corner, plant 500 horsepower, the back goes out, and then it's held. Amazing. The ride quality is very good until you hit a pothole or two, and then it jars up through your spine, but in general it's firm, yet quite survivable. This car will do nearly 200 miles an hour and costs just £60,000. They reckon you can drive it straight from the showroom to the track. We'll find out, shall we? 4th gear, tap of the brakes, turn, what bit of a slide early on, 1.13G and a slide on the end of the corner. Oh, a bit carried away. Big turn, and I tell you what, you can enter this car into one of those drifting competitions and you'd win it hands down. Oh dear, sorry tyres. This vet really is beginning to defy all those things that were bad about American cars. First, those brakes, they are still not giving up after quite a few laps. And then there's the handling. No great body roll or wallow here. A taut, firm chassis right under my control. listen to the sound of it. I mean, Aston Martin and Jaguar, eat your hearts out. The Americans are showing us how to do it. I mean, I've laughed and joked at American cars for so long, taken the mickey, said they're wallowing old useless barges only good for going in straight lines. And here I am, balancing at 100 miles an hour, flipping it into a big power slide of all heavenly power slides. And it's all right under my control.
Chevrolet claim the Z06 lapped the Nürburgring quicker than a Pagani Zonda F. And given the vet costs a fifth of the Pagani, I reckon it has to be the best value supercar on sale today.
Right, now, hybrid cars are supposed to be environmentally friendly and save the planet. But when Lexus said they made the world's first high-performance hybrid, well, that sounded right up our street. Hybrids don't just use a petrol engine. They also have an electric motor to help out and supposedly save on emissions. They're a favourite of Hollywood film stars who want to ease their conscience about running a fleet of Hummers. But this hybrid isn't concerned about global warming. The Lexus GS450H is all about going fast. The 3.5-litre V6 produces 286 horsepower, but some high-tech help from the electric motor means nothing this side of a BMW M5 is quicker to 60.
Now, the whole start-up procedure, well, it's a bit weird. Firstly, you've got one of these smart keys. That lives in your pocket. You jump in and press the power button, and that's it. The car is now on. Now, I know it's on because I've got ready on the dashboard, which means if I press the throttle, off I'll go in silence, all on battery power. It's very strange to start off with because you open the throttle from a standstill and there's no noise. The electric motors and the batteries kick in and give you your initial acceleration. Then if you want more power, the petrol motor kicks in, and then if you want even more, both work together to give you this almost seamless, linear acceleration. It feels a wee bit like an electric train, and that it just keeps going.
This car costs £38,000. That's £9 grand less than the top-of-the-range GS that uses a traditional petrol V8, and yet this car is quicker.
And another thing, I'm not sure if you can hear it, I think you probably can there, it's the electronic CVT, which is the constantly variable transmission. The engine gets to a certain speed and it holds it there, but you get faster and faster. It's a very strange sensation, one that's going to take a little while to get used to. Now there's the engine. Can you hear the engine's at constant revs and we're getting faster? Very weird.
Of course, this is being sold as a high-performance car, so how does it stack up?
Now, I've got the suspension in sport mode, and if I'm honest, I'm struggling to feel the difference. It is certainly a little bit stiffer in the corners, there's a little bit less body roll, but it's still a big, heavy, cruiser-type limo of a car. It's not really sporting at all. It is, however, a very comfortable place to be, and that's what this car is going to be used for, pounding up and down the motorways.
Perhaps the biggest incentives to buy this car are economic ones. It's exempt from London's £8 a day congestion charge, and the company car tax it attracts is about £1,500 less than a similarly priced 5 Series, all because its CO2 emissions are so low.
This car is so clever. When you come off the throttle, engine stops, but it also regenerates the battery. When you go on the brakes, it regenerates them even further. We're going downhill, not using any fuel at all. But go back on the throttle and the engine starts instantly, without any judder. We can't even feel it.
By adding an electric motor, they've given a petrol V6 the performance of a V8 and the economy of a 4-cylinder. It works really well, and it wouldn't surprise me if Toyota and Lexus start bolting hybrid motors into every car in their range.
This is a diesel Astra. It's been developed by 888 Race Engineering, the boys who helped our man Jason Plato win the British Touring Car Championship, which means this is a fast diesel Astra. The 1.9-litre engine has been remapped. They've fitted sport suspension, bigger wheels, bigger brakes, and low-profile tyres. To find out how fast this diesel Astra really is, we'll be putting it up against the fastest petrol Astra, the fire-breathing VXR. But if you think I'm driving some stinky oil burner, think again. This man will instead meet Paul O'Neill, all-round good egg and ex-Vauxhall touring car driver.
A race winner, indeed you are, Paul, and a fine driver. But let's just take a closer look at those eyes. Have a little beady look at the nose, the end of which, if you look close enough, moves when you talk. Remind you of anyone? Paul, who do you think you are?
Piece of work.
Yes, Paul's sister is former Spice Girl Mel C. But enough name-dropping. In usual fifth-gear style, we've got 3 challenges for the cars. First up, a quarter-mile drag race.
Where's all this smoke coming from?
Who said that? The VXR has 240 bhp against Paul's smoky 196, so I have a definite advantage.
I'm 25 kilograms lighter than Paul's car. And I've got more brake horsepower, so I should win this. First blood to me. Terrific.
Nearly got there. It's close, isn't it?
I say, old boy, I think I won that fair and square.
You beat that, you win.
Thank you very much.
1-0.
Yep.
I reckon
Yeah.
the diesel might have a better chance
Yeah.
if we go rolling start.
Uh-huh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
£10?
Yeah, £10.
Joe's a good one. 50 mile an hour? 50 mile an hour in 4th gear. And I reckon I could maybe do that.
The first race was a test of power off the line, but with a rolling start, torque is more important. And that's where Paul's diesel has the upper hand.
And at the line, and I've dropped the hammer.
And go. Come on, girl.
60, 65, 70.
Oh, she's sticking with him.
I'm nosing it, I'm nosing it.
Oh!
Oh, that's close, but I've won it. That's definitely a victory to O'Neill.
Oh, he won. So that's 1-1. The decider, then.
That's going to be 1 lap of this testing Landau circuit.
Away from the lights. Oh, it's getting a little bit greasy.
Bit of wheel spin from Vix.
Oh no, I've run wide on that one. Oh!
Vix has made a big mistake there.
Paul's coming on the inside, it's neck and neck. Oh!
She's alongside, coming onto the chicane. I think I've got the inside line.
There's only one of us going through the chicane. I'm going to try and get him on the exit.
Oh, big mistake. Oh dear. She's down my inside again. Have to give way. Try and get her back on the inside.
excellent line round this bend.
I'm going to try a bit of a touring car move here if I can.
He's trying a bit of slipstreaming behind me. Is it going to work? I'm not sure. Coming up to the line now. Oh. Every inch matters, every bit.
It's going to be close, going to be close, going to be close.
So the petrol car wins, but only just. Given that the 888 Astra costs £3 less and does 45 miles to the gallon, we reckon this is a moral victory for the diesel.
Time for one of our world-famous shootouts between the two hottest and most desirable hatches currently available. We're talking about the BMW 130i M Sport and the Volkswagen Golf R32. The flagship Golf is a subtle affair, lightning quick with nearly 250 horsepower from its 3.2-litre V6. It costs nearly £25,000. The top-spec BMW 1 Series is about £3 more, but it's slightly more powerful and slightly quicker to 60. It's got rear-wheel drive compared to the Golf's four-wheel drive. So, which will be faster around the track? We'll start with the Golf. Now, this R32 is a car you just fall instantly in love with. Quite simply because of the growl of that V6 under the bonnet. 246 horsepower and rose growls. Of course, the great thing with this four-wheel drive is that Volkswagen can set the chassis to be more neutral on turning. It doesn't have the understeer inherent in front-wheel drive cars. So it turns into the corner just like a rear-wheel drive car. You then get a little bit of oversteer, which you can catch and get the power in early. Then all the power goes back to the front wheels and you get that acceleration out of the corner once they're straight. It's got a slightly notchy gearbox. The one little tiny complaint must be that. But otherwise, it's just smile on your face. Keeping it neat and tidy for a lap, it sets a target time of 56.36 seconds. Over to the BMW. There's no doubt that if I'm going to get the best lap time out of this BMW, it's going to be a harder car to drive right on the limit because all that power goes to the rear wheels. I think before I set a lap time, I'm just going to have a little play. Oh, one way and the other. And I've held it. Oh dear, joy of joys. A bit of opposite lock one way, then the other. Oh! Well, that's a bit too much, I fear. Still, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Time, I think, to calm down, look for that perfect lap time to try and beat a very impressive R32. By radar, the BMW is 1/10 of a second behind the Golf. With the rear tyres spinning on the damp surface, the gap increases to 2/10 of the hairpin. But the BMW is quicker through the final high-speed S and finishes just 1/10 behind.
According to Citroën, 75% of you don't want this car because you're happy in a BMW, Mercedes or Audi. The other 25% won't buy it, also according to Citroën, because you're happy in a Jaguar, Volvo or Saab, which leaves, and I've done the maths here, precisely no % of you that's going to buy this, the new C6.
They could easily have made a car that has mass appeal, but instead they preferred to build something that doesn't. This, of course, is a very French way of going about things. Being individual is more important than being popular.
So, given that none of you are actually going to buy this car, it makes it rather an important thing to test, because you need to find out what you're missing out on.
The first thing you'll never benefit from is the absolutely brilliant styling. Now, most saloons are made up of 3 boxes, but this one is one giant swoosh. Where else do you see side windows that actually touch the rear lights?
Even the number plate has been mounted as low as possible so as not to upset the lines. The long wheelbase means there's loads of space inside where everything has a classy, high-quality feel.
This car looks interesting, imposing and presidential. You can't really say that about a 5 Series now, can you?
Then we come to the way it drives. This twin-turbo V6 diesel is very smooth, but again, Citroën admit that this isn't really for people interested in performance engineering.
In fact, it encourages you to drive in a whole new radical way. Slowly. It's got speed-sensitive steering, which, as far as I can work out, just means it gets worse the faster you go. They've spent a lot of time soundproofing in here, and the gear changes are silky smooth, so that it's actually very relaxing. You find yourself wanting to make journeys just that little bit longer, so that you get to spend more time in here.
And the more time you spend in the car, the more time you get to spend with all the gadgets. Or not, as the case may be, given that we've already established that none of you will be buying this car. None of you will ever benefit from the optional head-up display, which apparently shaves half a second off your reaction time because you don't have to refocus on the dashboard.
Nor will any of you be able to plug in a video camera and watch the picture being displayed on the dashboard monitor. There's also Citroën's optional lane departure warning system, which vibrates your seat if you cross over a white line without indicating above 50 miles an hour. There you go, my bottom is vibrating all over the place. Now, I sort of thought this was a bit of a gimmick, but if you're cruising home just that little bit too tired, it's a safety net worth having.
Of course, by not buying this car, you'll cleverly avoid some of the niggles. Like the cigarette lighter that's impossible to pull out. And the convex rear glass may give you more access to the boot, but at night it reflects the third brake light, thus obscuring the rear-view mirror. The big feature Citroën push with this car is its magic carpet ride quality. The self-levelling hydractive suspension does without springs, using gas and hydraulic fluid instead. And frankly, there's only one way to test if it's any good.
I have myself some gunmen and a highly trained chauffeur.
Ah, of course, Tiff, a driving god. If there's one man I'd entrust the safety of me and my hat to, it's him.
Thank you.
The gunmen are lurking somewhere in this French-ish village. They'll try to assassinate me, and because I've read the script, I know they'll miss and puncture our tyre. We'll then see if the C6 can keep on driving and help us escape, or whether it'll spin out of control and throw me into the hands of the bloodthirsty assassins.
Detected a punctured tyre.
A sensor above each wheel makes sure the ride height is constantly maintained, and so far things were holding up.
I think we can make it. It's a bit iffy. A bit of a rim, though. Mon Dieu! It's still corners.
I've driven plenty of cars in the past with flat tyres, and hard cornering can make them spin. But the C6 felt pretty secure. I wouldn't recommend going far like this, but it certainly felt more controllable than I expected.
Perhaps the most compelling case to buy a C6 is not about the suspension, but about price. The top-of-the-range model costs £38,000, about £7 grand less than the equivalent spec 5 Series. Unfortunately, big Citroëns have a reputation for depreciation, but as a second-hand proposition in a couple of years' time, this will be great.
This is a new Honda. But what it says on the boot, well, it's a bit of a lie. Honda Anonymous would be a better name. When it comes to executive saloons, buyers flock to the E-Class A6 or 5 Series. The Legend just doesn't show up on anyone's radar. Except this 4th generation model might change things. Honda are fighting back by packing the car full of technology. There's a system to make sure you keep within the white lines of a road. Sensors detect you drifting across and apply a small amount of corrective steering to put you back on the straight and narrow. And there's active cruise control, which will automatically jump on the brakes if it senses a collision.
All clever stuff, and all geared towards safety, which is all well and good, and we like that. However, I'm interested in a system which is designed to make you go faster, and that's a thing which is quite amusingly named Super Handling All-Wheel Drive.
Normally, if a car thinks you're getting into trouble, the stability control cuts power to restore order. Safe, but you lose speed. Honda's system doesn't cut power. It just sends more to the wheels that can use it best. For example, if the car wants to plough straight on in a right-hander, i.e. understeer, the Legend feeds more power to the left rear wheel, pushing the nose into the bend, which should make for very tidy, very fast cornering. In fact, the men from Honda tell us the Legend now drives better than a BMW 5 Series or Audi A6. But we're going to take to the track and find out ourselves.
So first up to test is the Audi A6. Now, it feels reasonably softly sprung, the car, but very accurate. You know, the steering's very precise. It goes exactly where you want it to on the way into the corner. It's only when you get to the middle of the corner do you start to feel this understeer. It's pretty good, but it's just a bit... feels a bit dull.
Still, when we put the clock on the Audi, it managed a very respectable lap time of 1 minute 28 round the circuit.
Right, so next up is the BMW 530 Sport. Straight away you feel the difference compared with the Audi. Steering's much more direct. Car feels like there's much less roll in it. The front of the car feels lighter. It's just such a lovely turn in, such a lovely feel through the steering wheel. You know, the Audi's a great car, but this is just more fun to drive.
And it proved to be faster as well, shaving a second off the Audi's time. So, can the more powerful Legend really be any better?
Now, the technology in this new Legend, the super handling all-wheel drive system, it takes a bit of getting used to. On first impressions, you might not think there's a difference, because if you go into a corner perhaps a little bit hot, the car will still understeer like any other car would. You have to learn that you need to get on the power, and then the brain goes, okay, we'll put some torque across to the outside rear wheel. Then the understeer does stop, and in fact sometimes you can get into a slight oversteer sensation. The only thing is the car, for me in its basic setup, is too soft, it's too wallowy. But nevertheless, this clever rear diff, it does actually work.
In fact, the Legend was the slowest of the bunch, a whole 7 seconds behind the 5 Series. But that's entirely down to the suspension being so soft.
I think, you know, in the right sort of car, with the right spring setup, this system could be very good.
In standard trim, the Legend costs around 36 grand, which is the same as the BMW and the Audi. Bolt on the safety systems we featured, and the cost goes up to 39. But in spite of its clever gadgets, it's still not the fastest car here. Nor is it the most rewarding to drive. So, the BMW gets our vote.
And now on Fifth Gear, a little bit of rock and roll with a popular beat combo. Clearly, we needed a guest expert to host this segment, so we've enlisted the help of Soccer AM's super geezer, Tim Lovejoy.
Football, music, cars are the essential specialist subjects for any self-respecting fella. Now, I like to think I know a lot about football, and I can do the business when it comes to music, and I love cars. But I have to admit, I don't really know what goes on underneath the bonnet. The only thing that matters to me is, does it make me look cool?
Which is the question we're going to ask about this. It's a Mini, but no ordinary Mini. This one costs a massive £35,000.
If you're going to spend 35 grand on a Mini, you'd expect it to be seriously modified. And this one is. This is a Radford Mini.
In the 60s, Radford used to customise Minis for people like the Beatles. Radford actually started off making undercover cars for the Secret Service. But Minis have always been their mainstay, and this one is their latest creation. It's got 100 more horsepower than your standard Cooper S, fat alloys, and a bespoke interior.
Now, all we're interested in is whether a modern-day Radford Mini appeals to rock stars like its predecessor. Unfortunately, Paul McCartney wasn't returning my calls, but we've enlisted the help of some cool, modern-day rock stars in the shape of Dirty Pretty Things. Oh,
I feel like a new man.
How's it back there, Carl?
Oh, yeah, fine, yeah.
Yeah, you all right?
Yeah.
Do you like it? Hello?
Hello.
Excuse me. Hello?
Hello.
Mrs. Hello, Mrs. Good season. How are you? Maybe this is a car to pick up a more mature woman.
Well, then, yeah, just a car for you, then.
The fact is, we didn't turn any heads at all. Perhaps our hunt for groupies would improve when the rock star took the wheel.
Watch out, man, I'm coming through. Oh, I was in third. Oh, word. All right. All right, here we go. Oh, I did it again, God damn it.
Oh, that's not cool, is it? That's not... Are you in third again?
Whoa! Yeah! Whoops.
That guy doesn't know how lucky he is, does he?
What do you think of this car, man? All right?
We still weren't turning heads, but the Radford was at least providing some musical inspiration for Carl.
There we go.
Hey, mate. What do you think of this car? Do you like it? What do you think of this car? Do you like it? He don't care. Yeah. And do you think if we're driving around in a Radford from the 60s rather than a new one, people would actually care more about it if it was a really old car?
I don't really notice cars unless they are actually old.
Really old,
vintage, yeah.
and they've got history.
Plus, around here, I mean, you know, everyone's used to seeing shiny new cars, you know? I can't tell the difference between like a Toyota, a Mitsubishi, and an Audi. Like, I don't know what they are. Then again, I couldn't tell the difference between Fenders and Gibson guitars for a long time either. So.
Although we thought the Radford Mini was cool, it clearly wasn't cool enough to stand out, even when laden with rock stars. But right to the end of the day, we got a small glimmer of approval.
All right, trade. Switch, you want to trade? They want to trade it, see? That's a good sign, isn't it?
I'm sure you recognise this. It's the Audi TT, instant design classic. Everyone thought this was brilliant when it first came out. I remember driving one of the first ones and people were falling over themselves to get a look at it. Believe it or not, though, that's been around 8 years. And even though it was fresh looking for 1998, it started to get a little bit too ubiquitous. Also, this original car was a brilliant thing, but not so stimulating to drive. And Audi reckon they've come up with a solution. This, the new Audi TT.
We buy more TTs in the UK than anywhere else in Europe. The radical design of the original was a really big hit, and the new car is just ever so slightly more aggressive. The cabin's less domey and a bit more coupe-ish. The new family grille gives it a sterner face, and the lights are apparently inspired by a tiger ready to pounce.
Now, although the new TT is actually quite a lot bigger than the old car, they've made good use of alloy and aluminium to make the car actually quite a lot lighter, which is good. There's also an option of modifying the way the car goes round a corner using magnetic dampers. There's magnetic particles that live inside the oil in the damper, and when you pass an electric current through them, they kind of all hunch up, and they can firm up the suspension round a corner. It's a bit like the system they're using on the new Ferrari 599 GTB, which is good. Inside, you'll find that the cabin's a whole 8 centimetres longer, but you sit a lot lower too, so it feels a lot bigger, and there's a whole heap more headroom, which is also good. So on paper, this car is very good, but I want to know about the driving. We were heading for Grossglockner, Austria's highest mountain. The twisty road up the 3,798-metre rock is popular with cyclists who are clearly insane. It's perfect for testing the TT. Dankeschön, and away we go. At launch, there are 2 versions. This one uses a 2-litre turbo straight out of the Golf GTI and costs just under 25 grand. There's also a 3.2-litre V6, complete with 4-wheel drive, that's 30 grand. The V6 is a lot sweeter delivery, multi-cylinder, feels a lot more smooth, whereas this is a little bit more aggressive. It's more like a hot hatch. And I actually prefer this 4-cylinder turbo motor, just a bit more fun. You also get a choice of 2 gearboxes. It's a 6-speed manual as standard, or you can option this DSG, or what Audi are calling it now, the S-Tronic system, which is that wicked dual clutch thing, where there's one clutch holding first and another holding second. When you flick one of these panels, it lets go first and engages second. Does it all in about 0.2 of a second, which is faster than you could probably do it manually. Listen to this again. And again. And again. It's like it's almost just like you're playing tunes with the exhaust. Ba, ba, ba. It doesn't lurch, it doesn't sort of squeal around, you don't get any kind of nodding of heads. It's a really fantastic system, and it's £1,450 in the UK. That's not bad. 50 quid shy of 1,500 quid for a piece of technology that genuinely impresses you. Now, how do you reckon they've made this 50% stiffer than the old car, and it certainly feels like it? Much more insistent at the wheel. You turn this in and it reacts virtually instantly, not like the old car, which sort of took its time, had a cup of tea, thought about it, then did it. It's not an out-and-out sports car, but you can certainly get away with quite a lot, which means it's safe, you know, a little bit of understeer, quite well balanced. You can really chuck this in with no fear of death. Whoa, yes! This is a great car. It's beautifully made, it's rewarding to drive, and no longer feels girly, and judging by the interest it caused wherever we parked, it's still the most head-turning design out there. Do you know what? I was genuinely afraid that Audi were going to overpromise and underdeliver with the new TT. I thought it'd be more of the same, more of a looking at car than a driving thing, but it's genuinely entertaining and something I'd really consider buying now. For a smidge under the 3.2's cost price, you could have this 2-litre turbo and the DSG gearbox and the big wheels. Well, you've got to have a bit of bling, haven't you?
With 4-wheel drive and an advanced ESP system, the Gallardo is the perfect supercar for beginners, although it costs us £900 to insure Tom for the day.
We like Lamborghinis.
Task 1, observe Tom and see where there was room for improvement.
You know, I've never done croft before, Tim. Ooh, hello.
It's Castle Combe.
Oh, I've never done here either. OK, so what's this, a chicane? Oh, I see. Whee! Oh, I'm getting the hang of it now. We've done a whole lap.
Stop.
Why?
Just for a minute, just hold on. Just
Why?
relax.
I'm quite enjoying it, I'm just getting into it. I don't know about this racing drive stuff, there's nothing coming in the other way. If you can remember where the circuit goes, it's easy. It's quite relaxing, actually. Not a lot of messing about to be done.
Like most petrol heads presented with an empty track and 520 horsepower, Tom stormed round like a bull in a china shop. He chucked the car rather than letting it glide.
I've probably seen enough now, Tom. I mean, if we stop and talk about it, I think I've seen just a few places that I think I can find some small improvements.
You can't improve on perfection.
I don't think that you can make me any better. I think that was pretty damn good. I was fully committed. It was making squealy tyres, and the brakes really smelled.
Which is why I was hardly able to write anything on my driver assessment form, because I was bouncing, jerking, being thrown, and the one thing I managed to circle the most was attitude.
I knew you'd start. I knew you'd start.
Because you got to calm everything down. It was sliding because you were making it slide, not because you'd reached...
Oh, here comes the Sultan of Slide complaining about sliding.
That's
called, like, drifting.
We use that for a drifting technique later to show off. But when we're going to go fast on a racetrack, we only want that to happen when we've reached the ultimate speed of the car in that corner.
I'm saying that was the ultimate speed.
You are throwing grip away to make it wiggle and woggle and think you're going fast, but you're not. So you've got to calm it down initially, get your turning point right, brake progressively, you're jumping on and off everything, and skidding and sliding. You've got to be initially gently, then firmer, then just before you turn into the corner, you actually bleed off the brakes, progressively turn, fine.
What are you talking about, bleed off the brakes?
Edge off slightly, don't jump off them, because otherwise we're on full braking, then we're on no braking, and then the weight transfer goes to the back. So when you then turn in, you've just taken all the weight off the front wheels, and then you whack loads of lock on so it doesn't turn, and then it slows down and grips, and then the back lifts loose because you've thumped the throttle. Let's get back into the car, right? With a new approach, I'll let you go sideways later.
Join us later when Tom gets it right and Tom gets it wrong. We're giving Tom some supercar tuition. We want to refine his rather heavy-handed driving skills and bring them into line with the high fifth gear standards. After teaching him the theory that the fastest way around a circuit is to steer as little as possible, turn in and progressively add the power, it was time to put it into practice. Smoothness is the key, but Tom seemed happier being brutal.
You're wee-heeing again then, right? You should have feathered the throttle. You went power slide mode again.
Yeah, but that's funny.
You can always add more lock later, but taking off lock really messes you up. So look, get that line and then ease the lock off as you put more power. Go on, power, progressively through the corner. That's much nicer. Whoa, that's fast.
In a funny way, the less inputs you give to the car, the quicker you go. You can stitch a much faster lap together simply by driving less.
It just feels so much quicker this way. I'm doing it! I'm like a racing driver.
Well, almost.
God, Tim, I'm sweating.
It's all hard work.
Tom's first lap time of the day was equivalent to that of a Subaru Impreza, but his new driving style was finally making the Lambo's extra power count. An hour's tuition had cut 4 seconds off his time.
Oh, but enough of this, man.
Enough of what? We're just getting there. The times are coming down.
I want to be like Tiff. I want to be the Sultan of Slide.
No.
I don't want to do all this kind of racing drivery nonsense. It's no good fun.
Tom wanted to perfect the art of power sliding. It's the ultimate expression of car control, and I suggested we began with some quiet theory. He disagreed.
No, and you just have to, you can't rush into it like some hooligan just doing...
The Gallardo is surprisingly tail-happy, but holding it in a graceful slide is rather like trying to balance a broomstick on your fingertip. Small corrections are better than big movements. I encourage Tom to find the limit.
That was much better.
So, take 2.
Your instigation's not working at the moment, is it?
So what do I do to instigate a better slide?
We've got to get it sliding earlier, so we need to hoof it a bit sooner. Adding the lock at the same time. So go right over the left-hand side of the track, you start to go, dip it on the brakes, turn it, and now hoof. Whoa, and that's grass again. Yes, very nice.
Do I back off when I come?
Only when you've got lots of opposite lock on it, then you can fed that sort of stops the spin. First gear, left and right to destabilise. Now power! Hold it. A bit more speed going into the corner, so lap this little block at normal speed, so we've got more momentum, so we've got more weight transference on the front end. Accelerate, then brake, and down first turn. And now, whoa! So get more turning now before you, so aim for that little bit of grass, turn there. Power. Now hold it, now we're learning. That was good.
He'd cracked it. Well, sort of. So finally, the 5th gear driving team is complete.
What are you going to be doing in 9 seconds' time? Me? Well, I'm going to be doing 100 miles an hour.
This is the new Porsche 911 Turbo, already being hailed as the ultimate sports car. We've heard that before, and we'll hear it again. But on paper, this car really has the credentials to back up the claim. Porsche have tried to make the consummate all-rounder. For instance, it'll do 193 miles an hour, but it comes with 6 airbags. With 480 brake horsepower, it's the most powerful production Porsche ever, but it'll also do a respectable 25 miles per gallon on a run. And it'll get to 62 in a lightning 3.7 seconds, despite being one of the cleanest sports cars in the world.
Now, as you can imagine, the flagship of the range is bursting at the seams with technology that comes as standard, mostly beginning with P. First up, PSM, Porsche Stability Management. That's a system which stops the rear overtaking the front, ultimately keeping your right side up and out of the fields. Then we've got PASM, Porsche Active Suspension Management. That's an electronic damping program which will soften or stiffen the suspension depending on the type of road you're on. And then we've got PTM, Porsche Traction Management, another computerized system which will send power to whichever axle needs it most.
But here's the real headline, VTG, Variable Turbine Geometry. The trouble with turbos, and this car's got 2 of them, is lag. There's usually a delay between hitting the throttle and the turbo spooling up. But here the turbo blades are constantly altering their angle of attack, so they're always working at their most efficient. That means almost no lag, and lots and lots of power. There's more riding on this test than normal, because I've got my name down on a new 911 Turbo. The basic price of the car is 98 grand, and I've already coughed up a deposit without even sitting behind the wheel.
Now, in terms of fit and finish, it's exactly what Porsche do best. Everything is beautifully made. But importantly, Porsche can spec this car exactly as you want it. Let's say, for instance, you really like this orange colour. You can ask them to say, right, I want this piece of leather exactly that colour. Likewise, I want this air vent. I want this in aluminium. I want this bit in carbon. This is a carbon accessory. Anything can be done. It doesn't cost an awful lot more, but it's just really nice stuff. Now, this car's got the optional sports chrono package at £1,000. And with that, you get a ghastly stopwatch on top of the dashboard. We don't really like that. But you do get this little tiny sport button down here. Press that, you get an overboost on the engine, which gives you an extra 60 Newton meters of torque. Oh, it's phenomenal. Love it.
The overboost only lasts for 10 seconds, But frankly, 10 seconds is plenty. The only things you can't overtake in that time have got warheads.
Now, the old turbo was a monster of a car. Almost at the time you thought, well, how can they better this? Well, they have. Wow, it is just phenomenal. God, I love this car. It's just unbelievable. It just doesn't stop. It's just not enough gears in the gearbox. I mean, she just keeps on going and going and going. And for the majority of the time, it drives very much like a rear-wheel drive car. But if, if it senses you need a little bit of traction on the front, it immediately sends a bit frontwards. But you can get the thing to oversteer, I'll show you. Can't do that in any other four-wheel drives. There we go. There's one thing which this car is probably the best in the world. It's just how effortless and easy it is to drive at warp factor speeds. I mean, what are we doing there? We're doing 130 mile an hour on a little tiny track. You know, and I'm barely working up a sweat. Just initial turn-ins, a bit light, a bit fluffy, almost a little bit unprecise. And then when you get on the loud pedal, it sorts itself out. If you love cars, you're gonna love this.
With options like carbon brakes, this car costs a whopping £106,000. That's nearly 50 grand more than the basic 911. Can it possibly be worth it?
There are very few cars in the world that can get you from A to B in all conditions as fast as the new 911 Turbo. It rewards the skillful, flatters the amateur, transports you in style like no other in a safe and luxurious environment. And what's more, I reckon this car can turn John Merrick into Brad Pitt. I certainly won't be cancelling my order.
When I heard we were planning this item, I boldly elbowed my way to the front of the queue. The latest brace of Italian supercars, perhaps? Nope, pickups. I love them. Even with a dead sheep in the back, they've always had a certain rugged attraction. But what used to be the preserve of farmers is now appealing to a much wider market. Sales have gone up nearly 400% in 10 years. Last year, about as many pickups were sold as luxury saloons. But which one is best? We've got the two leading names and are going to find out. This is the Mitsubishi L200. In high-end animal spec, it gets a 2.5-litre turbo diesel and comes with creature comforts like climate control, leather and smart nav. It costs just over £22,000. This is the Nissan Navara. It also has a 2.5-litre diesel, but manages to be slightly more powerful than the L200. In this top-of-the-range Aventura model, you get full sat-nav, cruise control, and even a Bluetooth connection for your mobile phone. It costs just under 25 grand. Oh, it also comes with one of these. A tent. In fact, it's the only car on sale today that comes with an optional home. Not bad for 235 quid. Right, that's enough girl guides. Time for a shootout on the shale. Which pickup will be quickest round this rally stage? So then, this Mitsubishi, I'm not very impressed with. It seems a bit gutless. You have to really, really work the revs to get anything from it. Also, it's automatic, which I'm not particularly fond of. But it's the driving position that I particularly don't like. I don't feel involved in this pickup truck whatsoever. I just feel that I'm plonked on the seat and that I'm very much on top of the steering as well. I've got quite a remote feeling about being behind the wheel. If I go off, I will either roll down a big hill or I might hit a sheep. Ooh. The Mitsubishi sets a benchmark of 1 minute 17.
God, I'm absolutely boiling.
Time for the Nissan.
In this car, immediately, I feel more at home. I'm sat lower down, I'm in a more sort of confident position. When I accelerate out of that tight corner there, this Nissan's engine just sort of delivers a whole wallop of grunt. Oops. Come on, old girl. I feel much more in control of this car. Oh, famous last words, Victoria. But this has really given me loads of confidence. It has the most sort of car-like feel to it.
The Navara was a whole 5 seconds faster than the Mitsubishi. That gutsy engine makes it quick off the mark and great for load lugging. And of course, it comes with a tent.
Right, it's about 3:30 in the morning. And even though I don't get up this early, I've got something special to do.
I had a crack of dawn flight to Belgium for an exciting mission. I was here for a road trip, to pick up the new Ferrari 599 and take it back home to the factory in Italy. Tiff drove the car earlier in the series and was a bit disappointed by it on track, and I'm here to see if it works better as a long-distance cruiser. We planned a 1,200-mile route through France, into Germany, across Austria, and finally home to Italy. I was itching to get going, but with typical Ferrari eccentricity, the car wasn't where it was supposed to be. After promises of only being 10 minutes away, I was told that the 599 hadn't even left yet, so we had to get a hire car and go to it.
61.
I must say, so far, the 599 GTB isn't exactly what I thought. It's more like a Renault Scenic. Yay, we found them. It's a really textural car. There's a lot to look at. You're constantly seeing different bits of it. Look at the inside, all this tone leather. Excellent.
Fitting our luggage into the 599 was easy, especially with a parcel shelf on the back.
Not a bad crew vehicle, that, is it? 612 Scaglietti, chase car for the camera.
Who said Ferraris aren't practical? Our convoy of cars worth nearly £600,000 was ready for departure. First leg, Belgium to Germany.
Woo! 100 miles in, crossed into Germany. That's a really easy 260 kilometres an hour there, which is quite a lot if I do the maths in my head. Really comfy car. It's a lot better than a Renault Scenic. Sorry, Renault. It just feels like a big GT. It just feels so comfy. And having started at 3:30 in the morning to do this, all of a sudden I've got my energy back.
To break up the journey and judge public reaction to the car, we headed for some quaint villages. One German man fondled the car out of sheer love. When he saw the beautiful V12 that comes out of the Enzo, it nearly brought a tear to his eye.
Perfect.
Ah, cool.
We left the village behind and headed back to the open roads, but no ordinary roads. De-restricted autobahns.
It's 290 kilometres an hour. Absolutely rock solid, not a problem. This car will easily crack 200. So 290 is what? 180. Quite quick.
The sun was setting, and it was the end of our first leg. In the distance, there was a glimpse of tomorrow's glorious twisty roads. After 10 hours of driving, I felt fresh as a daisy, because unless you're driving flat out, the 599 is a remarkably quiet place to be. Day 2. I realised I hadn't packed any clothes, and only one t-shirt shop was open.
It's personal.
But it didn't matter. We were on our way to the mountains, and with mountains, you get tunnels.
Every time you hit a tunnel in a Ferrari, you should wind the windows down and give it some stick. It's one of those life-affirming moments. The first time you've ever got a Ferrari, take it to a long tube and drive through it at speed. If you're into engines or cars, it'll make the hairs on the back of your neck stand right up. You better just hold on for a bit, mate. You all right, Matthew? You know, it really is quite, I don't know, astonishing how quickly you can get up these roads, especially for a car that on the motorway was so comfortable. If I drop this down a gear and get on these brakes, because these are very sharp corners, front end understeers a little, and then we just fly around. It's just so good, so good.
Except, as a car journalist, you're resigned to never being able to enjoy terrific roads. Because the photographer wants you to keep driving back and forth around the same corner as he tries to get the perfect shot without any traffic in it. It was good to be back on the road. We were storming through Italy on the final leg. As we approached the 1200th mile of our trip, it was hard not to get a bit misty-eyed.
You can tell you've been on a good trip when you've got loads of little bits that you keep remembering. Just come down out the Dolomites. The sun was going down behind one of the hills. And I hooked it up in third gear and powered around a corner and just got the corner just right. The car dug in and it gripped and it didn't understeer. There's a little bit of oversteering. Everything came together and I just sort of think, it's special, man. I'll remember that. And that's what driving should be about. Remembering little nuggets of gold. Made me think this car is pretty cool.
Goodbye. Thank you for watching.
This is a rather rare BMW. At first glance, you might not think so, because it looks like the legions of other 3 Series plying our motorways at warp speed. But come closer. No, closer still. Note the more aggressive jut to the front end, and the experts amongst you will detect those new wheels. Peek inside and you'll spot the sports seats and alloy trim. Delve even deeper and you'll find a lighter, handmade engine, bits of which come from the same factory where BM make their Formula 1 engines. This is the BMW 320 SI. It's been made to celebrate BMW's success in the World Touring Car Championship. It's a car for connoisseurs with strictly limited production and just 500 coming to the UK. BMW have added in all sorts of fast bits that they've learned about with their race car. The standard 3 Series is already the best handling car in its class, so the SI should be even better. To find out, we have fitted a V-Box, which uses GPS sat-nav technology to work out the G-force in bends. We have come to a place where they build the best bendy roads, Wales. Now, our man Jason Plato reckons that his British touring car Seat Leon pulls a maximum of 1.7 G, so it'll be very interesting to see what a sort of normal road car pulls on sort of normal British roads. Frankly, anything over 1 G will be an achievement. That's the force of one gravity pulling you sideways. Guess what my G meter reading is? Guess what it is? It's 1.02. Oh, there's a lamb. Helping me with my lateral G is the fact that this car has got fantastic grip. This car's 40 kilos lighter than the standard 320, has tweaked suspension and a lower centre of gravity. So instead of spending my time going sideways, this car really just grips to the road and really helps me pull in, turn in, and get a good lateral G score. Back on the power all the way out. Oh, I only pulled 0.7 G. It's not enough. It's fantastic throttle response. Poof, bang on the throttle, bang comes the power. Lovely. BMW have ditched their Valvetronic system in favour of a more conventional throttle arrangement. And, like the race car, it mimics the engine revs higher too. It's also got more power, up from the standard model's 150 bhp to 173. But we were still pulling out all the stops to try and beat 1.02. So I need sort of like a late turn in, bit of force on the power, hold it in. 1.05, fantastic. Now, I really took the car by the scruff of the neck and went for one last banzai attempt. I have managed 1.1 lateral G. Not as good as Plato's 1.7 that he gets in his touring car, but pretty potent for this little package. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in history, may we present to you the definitive road test on the ultimate road cars.
It's a dream. In one garage, you keep a 240-mile-an-hour legend, the McLaren F1. In the other, you've got Ferrari's finest achievement, the Enzo, a combined value approaching £2 million. Both of these cars are awesome on the track, but we wanted to know what's it like owning and driving them in real life on real roads. And now, for the first time, thanks to a generous fifth gear viewer, we can tell you. Chris Palmer is a self-made man who sees these delicious supercars as investments as much as toys.
Probably, for me, they're as good as it gets. The McLaren is probably a bigger adrenaline pump. The Enzo, if anything, is a little bit easier to drive.
Insurance, running costs?
I don't back horses, so it's a vice that can be cheaper than gambling.
With the cars back-to-back, we'll be able to tell you which gives the biggest thrill, which is the most expensive to run, and which drives the best.
Come on, this is our Enzo for a day. There's nothing like this in supercar world. This is the supercar that looks more like a spaceship than any other. It's just stunning. And the closer you get, the more... I don't know, the more you want to open the door. And it just invites you, it beckons you to come. But the contrast is immediate from the stunning exterior to the almost basic functional interior. I mean, look at this hinge, a big alloy chunk of metal that's the door hinge, and I've got windy down windows. No carpets. Spend all that money and no carpets, but you don't care because you see things like race and mode set. Then you see start. Then you see a key. Lots of noises. Flip the paddles for N. Perhaps press the start button. My heartbeat's just got up about 50 beats, and that is coming through the seat into my back and into my spine, tingling up into my brain. And I haven't even touched the throttle pedal yet.
It's a car that gives you goosebumps, but the experience is slightly dampened because you know one day, just like the F40 and F50 before it, the Enzo will be replaced, whereas the F1 will exist forever as the McLaren flagship.
Now this, of course, is a race car that's been converted back for use on the road, so it hasn't got all the luxury interior. I've just got to remember how to get into a McLaren F1. But once inside that brilliant driving position that Gordon Murray created, no beautiful dials in front of me, a race-spec dashboard, and this whole bank of carbon fibre surrounded switches. Time for some noise, well, music to me. Full race-spec master switch. Ignition. Fuel pumps on.
Now, stripped out for race spec, this car has lost like 300 kilos of weight, so it's lost all the sound deadening. So this is not going to be a quiet trickle when you drive the car. In fact, I noticed these headsets, because the only way you can talk to a passenger if you had one is with these. Hopefully I'll be able to drive without them, because to listen to that V12 in the back
is very special.
Ferrari recommend the Enzo is serviced every 3,000 miles or 6 months, with the bill coming to between £2,000 and £3,000. A new set of tyres is about £1,000. A 6,000-mile service on a McLaren can cost, and are you sitting down, £30,000. Everything about an F1 is telephone numbers. Even a small tin of touch-up paint costs 75 quid. Then we come to the petrol station. A day with these two resulted in my record ever fill-up.
Now, whereas the Enzo does about 15 miles to the gallon, with the McLaren, you're going to be stopping at these fuel stations a bit more often, because this car in this specification does about 6 miles to the gallon. How long is that nose and how near is that concrete? The funny thing is, I've now done some proper mileage in an Enzo, and it's nothing like what I thought it was. It's not an animal at all. It's calm, it's relaxed, it doesn't spur you on. It's a very pleasant cruiser. And I think the reason why you feel so relaxed is the fact that you know there's so much extra performance available. You're never going to get anywhere near its limits on the public roads if you don't bother to try. But I guess there's one button I've got to try, and that's the race button. Just to see how different it feels, because it does sharpen up the engine and the suspension. So we'll just have it in the rev band, 3, then just press it and... Oh! The steering has now, sharpened a tad. The gear change should be a bit quicker. suddenly I feel a bit egged on. It's amazing what a difference one button can make. Oh my God, it's got no lock. It's got the racing rack, which is faster, and it's got no lock. Oh dear. Now, I thought I'd drive this without this headset on, but it is so noisy, especially with the gearbox. In fact, if I didn't have this on, you wouldn't hear me speak. But I have to say, I feel a bit like a fighter pilot taking his F-16 down to the shops. This whole car just is saying, let's go, let's go. White circle with black diagonal lines across it, which means we can now go 3, 2. It's like I've got a huge widescreen television in front of me on a PlayStation game. Whoa. Oh, it's going to get me into trouble. This car is going to get me into trouble. I think these headsets on, it makes me feel more like I'm in a racing car. I've got my crash helmet on, I'm in racing mode. I probably need to take them off in order to calm myself down, to listen to all the... to listen to all the noises of the car. Oh my God. But getting back into McLaren is reminding me what supercars should all be about. And it's all about the driving experience. But most of all, it's just this stunning performance. Because I'm sitting in the most exciting, I say this in the most exciting road car ever built. You're still the baby.